Pseudo selectors. Let's talk about not, nth child, and hover. So a couple of lessons ago, we made all of these boxes. Let's go ahead and mostly get rid of this. And when I load up this page, it's just a bunch of blue lines. So it's just a bunch of divs, and we can see all of these divs in here. And so I've got a parent element. It has an ID called parent, so we know it's the parent. And a bunch of boxes. Now, a pseudo selector will use just a regular colon to use this or to activate the selector. There's a lot of them, but in this lesson, we're really only going to work on not, nth child, and hover. And it looks like this: dot box, colon, and then your pseudo class name. So this one is called hover, and we can change this background color to gray if we wanted to. And let's zoom in here. And when I hover over these, it changes the background color. No, it doesn't just have to be the background color we can change. We can change the border color. We can change the font size. We can change the font family. We can change literally everything. It works the exact same way, but all we're saying here is select all the classes of box. So all of these in here. And then when you put your mouse over it, when you hover over it, what is it going to do? That is a pseudo selector. Now, we learned about this in CSS 101 real quick. Let's go ahead and use something a little more advanced. So we can now say box. Let's use the not, and actually see there's a lot of them in here. We're not going to go through all of these. There are just so many, and frankly, most of them aren't typically used, but they are supported. So let's do box colon not, and then what we do in here is we give it another selector. What should it not be selecting? So don't select me. Let's go ahead and copy that and throw that into, like, I don't know, the third one. And let's finish this off. Let's do a background color of blue. So these should all now have a blue border, a blue background. When you hover over it, they're all going to turn gray. However, the box not, don't select me, that's this one, is not going to have a blue background color. So let's go ahead and refresh, and you can see it selects this one right in the middle. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that CSS, like most programming languages, works from the top to the bottom. So we said, give it a background color of gray when we hover. But then we said, if the box is not, don't select me class, doesn't have this one, then change that background color to blue. And when we go back here, we're going to see that nothing is actually happening except this one. In order to fix this, we just select that and just move it above. Save. Refresh, and now it works for us the way we want it to work. Beautiful. Beauty, beauty, beauty. Okay, let's say we wanted to select a particular one. Now, there's going to be a time in the future, at some point when you're working on a website, that you have all of this HTML, and you're not going to be able to edit that HTML. Maybe you're working with a framework like Django, and you need to be able to just work with straight HTML. This is very, very important. This is one of the key skills in CSS. Is you need to be able to not touch your HTML and still select what you need to select. So let's go ahead and select, like, this box here. Let's say select me. And let's change that color to white on all boxes. Color is going to be white so we can read it. There we go. We want this one to be selected, and then we don't want any of the other ones to be selected. Now the problem is this one is the same as this one, is the same as this one, is the same as this one, and the bottom three. They're all identical. They all live inside of the parent. There's nothing unique about them. How do we select this? Now we can select this with the nth child selector. And so what we can say is select all of our boxes, then do nth child, and it takes curly brace, not curly braces, but parentheses. And this nth child takes a number. And so which one do we want to select? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we throw the number 5 in there. And let's change this background color. It's already blue, that's not going to do anything. Let's change this background color to yellow. And let's change this color to black, the text color to black. And when we refresh our page, it selects just this one. So we know that there are a set amount of boxes. And we said, oh, we just need to select this one, but we can't touch the HTML. We can say, skip 1, 2, 3, 4, select number 5 with the nth child selector, and then apply our styling. Now this is really important because this gets into advanced selectors, and this is going to help you out immensely in the future at some point when you're working with a designer, most likely. So when you're working with your web designer is going to say, here's a bunch of stuff. You might be working with a backend dev. Backend dev says, okay, we're going to make this work in Django, and it's going to have a bunch of checkboxes, for example. But we want the third item in the checkbox to have a border around it so it really sticks out, so people are more likely to click that one. We could do that with nth child. We can make sure that when you hover over something, things change. We can make sure that you don't select certain elements. You can select all of them except certain ones.